Well, hello, welcome. I'm hoping that my internet will stay on okay today. It's had some intermittent issues, but I'm glad you're here. I think there might be a few people say hello in the chat. I may not be able to type back, but I'm certainly happy to respond. And in fact, I just realized I can hear myself. So let me just turn myself down here on my iPad. It'll be just a second. Sorry. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Just let me turn myself down. Oh, how whatever. Let me turn that off. All right, I'm going to turn myself off. All right, that was enough. Okay, anyway, so I'm here, and I hope that you're here, and you could certainly welcome to say hello. But I'm going to record this. It's going to be recorded. I'm by myself today. Phoebe's got something else she's doing today. I'm going to miss her. So I'm going to try to do my best to help you kind of understand what we're doing. It's World Watercolor Month. Today's July 1st. July is World Watercolor Month. And Yasutomo has lots of watercolor products that are just from beginners to professional. And all different types of things. And I'm just going to go over it. And I'm also going to just paint. That's the reason I'm here, is to paint. So what I'm going to do is talk about just some of the watercolors. And these are my little watercolors. I'll set those aside because I plan to make some today. So we've got I'm just going to go down kind of give you an overview of our watercolors, or the Yasutomo watercolor line. We've got, these have been around for quite a while. And I want to tell you some little bits about those that make how you can make these a better experience if you've not liked them for whatever reason. I like them. There's 36 colors. These colors were chosen by me, actually. I wanted to pick a certain color range that had the most brilliant colors of this type of watercolor. This watercolor is a lot more matte. Oops, if I can get it open. Okay, it's not going to open. Oh, there we go. It has you can see there's no shine at all to the pans. So there's not very much gum arabic in it. There's a lot of pigment, but not much gum arabic. This is a desired thing. You may even notice if you put your fingers on the little pans. This is NW36, just so you know. I think it's NWC 36. I wish Phoebe was here. She can tell me those things, but I'll try my best. This is available in lots of stores, and it's very, very reasonably priced. But so anyway, you've got 36 colors. I would not try to mix these colors together. And I'm going to get some watercolor paper out just to show you what they do. Now I'll just get these out, and then we'll just go down the line as we talk, as I chat about it. So I've got the colors. I think I'll just put these like right there, like this, so you can see. And this is a watercolor pad that's coming out in August. We're going to have some real watercolor paper. I'm just so excited. And this one is the cold press. And this one is the hot press. Oh, hi, Wanda. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Denise. Yay, I'm glad you're here. So if something happens and I just go flat, like die, that means well, not me, I won't die. But if my video goes down, that's because my internet's acting weird. So if that happens, you'll know that I'm okay. It's just something's going on with the internet. So far, so good. But if it happens, it might happen today. But I'm so glad you're here. So let's get your paints out, ladies. So I'm going to talk about these paints because they're so inexpensive. Now, the difference between the hot press and this one is really very minimal between the hot press and the cold. I'm just looking at it right now. And these are our brand new watercolor pads that we're going to be bringing in. There's very little difference. So, which is kind of nice because sometimes the hot presses are just too hot, too smooth. But this is nice. So I'm going to use the hot press just for now. And what I'm just so excited to be sharing with you all this. I'm just going to grab a watercolor brush and I'm going to spritz down my colors. And this is our cheapest set that you can get. But you got a lot of colors. So, I think it's under $10. It might even be less than that. And I'm just going to grab a piece of paper. Doesn't need to be fancy. And I'm just going to do a little leaves because I think today I'm just going to do some leaves. And I'm going to grab a green, or it's kind of a blue green, but if you have questions, I'm going to check the chat once in a while and I'm going to be happy to answer them. So just letting you know, since I'm not going to type and paint at the same time. But what you'll notice is when you put color on this, let me just move this out. If you put some color on this, it's going to soak up a lot of your water really fast. And so there's just a different kind of feel than, like, you see how dry that looks. But it's still, the colors are really brilliant. They're just so pretty, but they're just different looking than your normal watercolors. So let me, and I'm going to tell you a little secret, a little trick that you can do. I'm just going to do a couple of leaves here, but you see how pretty they are? Now and the paper, of course, is going to make a difference too, what kind of papers you use. I'm going to just grab maybe some, a different brown, like or not brown, what was I thinking? Green. And I'm just going to put some green maybe in here, just a different green, just to show you. Now, look how, I don't know if you can tell, if you can see this, but it looks almost like, kind of like gouache. It's got a very opaque feel to it. Now, it's pretty, but it dries very flat and very, very matte. And then it's just a different feel than your normal transparent colors. And also, if you look in your water, when you see, I'm going to show you my water, because the colors are so pigmented, and so there's a lot of calcium carbonate in it. It's actually going to muddy colors quickly if you mix them. So I don't recommend mixing them, but these come in such pretty colors. Why would you need to? So that's kind of like a little tip on these. NWC 36. Now here's a little tip I'm going to tell you about, because these are different than normal watercolors. So that means I've got a little yellow here, but if I try to put some, let's say, purple, they're going to be, it's just not going to come out as brilliant as your transparent colors, which I'm going to go over in a minute, because we've got some of those. But one thing I want to show you that's sort of a nice little trick. If you've heard of something called gum arabic, it's actually in all the watercolors. Hi, Kat from Arizona. I'm glad you're here. I'm in Arizona too, so welcome. So if I go really fast, please, ask more questions. I'm happy to help. Now, I've got this gum arabic. I make my own, but you can buy it in different brands have this. It's liquid, it's already been made, but I'm going to put some on. I could put it on my paints directly, or I can just mix it up. I'm just going to stick it on the paint, and I'm going to show you something. I'm going to put some of it in the paint right now, and maybe I'll pick this color, or maybe that purple I just used. I'm putting just a few drops of gum arabic in my pans. It's not going to hurt it. It's actually going to help it. Let's see, I'll get that olive green I just used. So what I'm just doing is putting some gum arabic in. You can do this with all your watercolors, but it really helps with the less expensive watercolors. I don't want to say cheap, because, I know they're different price ranges, right? So I'm going to mix up. I'm going to take that same green, and I'm going to grab another piece of paper so that you can kind of see a side-by-side on this. Prescott, wow, you're in Prescott. I'm in Cottonwood. So we're close, we're neighbors. I'm in the Verde Valley. And Prescott is such a wonderful place. So I'm going to set this to the side a little bit. And this is dried, and you'll see it's kind of very matte, and it's going to look kind of dull on you, when you look at it. Now, I'm going to take the same paint, and I've got some gum arabic already in there, and it's a good amount of gum arabic. And it's going to change the whole thing. I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to just I've got the gum arabic inside that. So I've got a mixture of that green with the gum arabic. And now what it's going to do is I'm going to do the same leaf, but you notice it didn't soak in. It's not soaking in. See how it's floating on the paper? I don't know if you see that, but I've now just upgraded this watercolor big time. That, under $10 for 36 colors. I've just upgraded it by adding a few drops of gum arabic to my pans. And if it dries in that's fine. You can just re-wet it, and you get this gorgeous you get almost the same kind of effect, except it's more opaque, but now it's floating onto there, and it's mixing together completely changes it. I'm going to just do a little purple now, because before with the purple and the yellow, it kind of just looked real, it just didn't look really good. Here we go. I'm just going to kind of mix it. Let those colors mix. Totally different. The way it's spreading and floating, way different than it did on the without the gum arabic. So I wanted to mention this because these are paints that I really never liked using myself because I'm just kind of a watercolor nerd. But now having this just a few drops, I'm just going to go ahead and load them up. And it, like I said, it doesn't hurt to keep them in there. That changes everything. So you can make your own, or you can just buy the liquid, different brands. Like I said, just type gum arabic and you'll look at that. It's just so gorgeous. It's just drying beautifully. It's going to look really good. So I'll set that aside and let it dry so that, we can compare a little bit more. So that is my little pitch on this set because it's been kind of loved and undervalued, even though it is a great price. I mean, the price is phenomenal. So there you go. I wanted to tell you, you can upgrade your watercolors. So the next thing I wanted to share is, I think you might know this already. If you don't, I want to share with you this. These are pearlescent watercolors. And these are the NPWC 21 colors. Now I don't have my black paper here. Oops, I meant to do that. But what I always like to do with these, because they take a little bit longer to constitute, they take a little bit longer to dissolve. That's the word I'm looking for. So I just spray them ahead of time. And you can actually, it's probably a little late on this one because this little matte watercolor already dried pretty quickly, but you can just, do some like glittery effects over, using it over watercolors you already have, or mixing them with what you already have. Like if I take this little one that has the gum arabic in it, it's so gorgeous. And if I take that blue and just maybe drop some of that metallic blue in it and let it do its thing. So you can add beautiful little, whoops, I didn't want to do that. That's all right. You can add just kind of a little metallic without overdoing it. And yeah, I like that. I'm just going to let that sit and let that metallic kind of happen. But this is great as a standalone watercolor or just to add to your own watercolors. And I love all the colors. And it also gets thick enough to work as a stencil paste, which is crazy. I think I've told you about it. See how when I'm mixing it, how thick and lovely it gets. So Melinda asked, what would you add more gum arabic? Well, sure. Now the gum arabic wouldn't really work with this one because it has a lot of it already in it. So I'm just it's got a lot of gum arabic. You can tell because here's a little tip. If you're looking at paints at the store, or if you can see it in a photograph, you'll notice the shine. If it's shiny while it's still dry, that's a lot of gum arabic. That's got a lot of gum arabic already. So the binder that the gum arabic is going to make it shinier and more translucent and more luminous. So when you get the comparison to this one, which is much more flat and matte, it almost looks like a gouache. Of course, the gum arabic, now that I put that on, I'll let that sit on there for a while. And that's going to be shiny when it dries, or it will become more shiny as it dries. So, and it can always be reconstituted in water. So it's always resoluble. So I think that was a question. Yes, so I'm going to do some more gum arabic addition because I want to tell you, I love having gum arabic in my arsenal, and I put this in one of those little, precision applicator bottles, so I can just put little bits here and there. I don't really know if mixing it sometimes with the paints. I don't know if I like doing that much. So I'm going to try another surface too while we're at it. So this is our pearlescent. I wanted to just show you that. And then we have the next level. We're going to go up a step here. This is the 15 tube, 15 colors with the addition of silver and gold. I love this. These go a long way, and I put them in my little, this is a 30 color palette, I think. I don't remember. No, 18 colors. So you can do 18 colors plus your metallics, and it gets messy, but and the white is always going to crumble. I don't think I've known any white that did not crumble in your palette just because there's less gum arabic or because of the amount of calcium carbonate and titanium white or whatever it is. It just doesn't like sitting in the white. Gouache does the same. So if you have gouache, it's really not, if you're putting a white gouache in one of these trays, you know it's not gonna, probably not gonna stay. So I'm so glad that you're here, Tracy, and glad people are here. It's just so nice, and just hopefully this, like I said, I had some internet problems. Hopefully it will stay online, and I'll keep going until something happens. So this is the 15 color set. It's still decent. This is actually still considered student grade, but I like it. I'm going to add some gum arabic to it, because you see when you look in the squeezed out tube, you know, look at that. It looks pretty flat. So I'm just going to go ahead and first thing I'll do is spritz it. This is a way if you get like dry looking watercolors that look sad in your trays, just throw a little gum arabic in it. That is the cure-all. It's like lotion for your watercolors. It's going to make them so happy. And really, and your cheaper watercolors or less expensive budget, you know, watercolors are going to all of a sudden upgrade. And it's really not expensive to buy the gum arabic. I actually, like I said, I buy the powder. It's a food grade gum arabic, and you can use it to make ice cream too, I guess. But I use that, and I just make up my own, and it's even cheaper than the pre-made stuff. Let's see. Oh yes, I would be happy to. I see the next time I use, got it, Melinda, I got it. I will, yes, I'll add more, do more gum arabic to that. So I'll just quickly do some more leaves, because I think today is a day to do leaves or something. And because what you basically with watercolors, when you're doing something like this, doing it, trying different watercolors over and over, just use the same subject matter. But I also want to show you something I do with stencils, because it's just so much fun. We were doing this the other day, and it was really a blast. So I'm going to go ahead and use some green, because I'm kind of on the green thing. And I've got some gum arabic in that. And I'll just do a little leaf. You can see the quality of this paint is a lot more translucent than the other. I'm going to throw a little phthalo blue, just dropping it in and seeing what happens, how it moves around. Now, this by itself, like I said, already has probably enough gum arabic, unlike that inexpensive set, which is you can see how the paint's moving around already, just really nice. And let me go back to this one while we're talking about the different color qualities. I'm going to go back to, let's see, that green. This is the green that has gum arabic now. But I'm going to go ahead and just throw a couple of more, like maybe in this light green, and see what happens. Maybe in this one. I'm just going to put gum arabic in all of it, because it all needs it. It looks like a desert. Now the bright colors that you see in a tray like that, when you see really bright colors, you know they're not going to be transparent at all. There's a lot of white in that. Any of these little pans that have, when you look in a pan of watercolors, you'll notice that the brighter colors are not going to be transparent. They won't really mix well together. And so that's why this little set is really cool by looking at it, but I don't want to use this as a mixing set. So that's just one way to get the most, whoops, I forgot one right there. Get the most out of your watercolor sets by knowing that. I always stay away from this color. I don't know why. I mean, I should just go for it though, because it is a pretty color, kind of a nice tan color, beige, I guess. So now I'm going to take that, let's say this green here. I've got a little bit of, I need to get some water in that, because I think it's mostly gum arabic at this point. But just go into your tray, and just kind of pull out some color and kind of mix it up with your gum arabic so that you've got a nice mix. And then let's do another leaf and see. Let's start another leaf. I really like that. So it's floating beautifully. It's just in the other one, before the gum arabic, you saw what I did. It was really very, very chalky, and it didn't move. The paint just wasn't going to move. I'm going to do a little bit more. It just floated. It just sunk right into the paper is what it did. So this is going to be a little blue. I've got to thin it out though. So suggestion, if you're going to add gum arabic to paint like this, just kind of mix it up first before you put it on your paper. There we go. There's a little just the difference between one level of watercolor. Here's this set. I could see the translucency and how it's mixing together. And this one is a little more chalky, but still that in matte. And matte could be an effect you're looking for. So please don't, listen to me. If you like the matte look, by all means, do it, because it's, it's just a nice look. It could be something that you want to do. Now, gum arabic also helps seal your watercolors a little bit. So I'm hoping, Melinda, that answered your question about that. But I'll keep pulling this together. because I'm going to get all my watercolors out. All the stuff we've got. There's so many. And of course, my table isn't that big. So I'm going to try to make some room. Now, this is the set that I like it because it's reasonably priced and the metallics are gorgeous. When you get oops, got to take that blue out. When you start working with the metallics on the silver and the gold, well, it's mostly a pearl white. It's not really a silver, but it's really, really super saturated and really nice and brilliant. So you can get a warm tone on your colors. You can mix it with your color, and let's do another a leaf. That's going to be so pretty with the kind of just some gold mixed with the green, and it's so pretty. And then I'll mix some of that silver or the white, pearl white, with some blue, and then make a little subtle leaf here. And just keeping it subtle. Sometimes I tend to not be subtle. All right, so there, just to show you, you can tint your with the metallics, you can kind of tint your colors, warm or cool, with the white or the gold. That one's that one. So I'm going to also show you some Japanese colors, which I just love. These are professional grade Japanese watercolors. Now they're made, these are organzai watercolors. I just want you to know you can use them on watercolor paper. And you see how shiny those are? Those have a lot of gum arabic in it, a lot. So what I want to show you how quickly they dissolve and how quickly they constitute. Now they're not all transparent. Some of these colors are, as you can see there. In fact, it's hard for me to show you. I'm going to just take this pad and I'm going to bring it over to here. So I can just kind of do a swatch of these colors because they're so pretty. So I'll start with, let me just take the pad. All right. All right. So now, here we go. 12 colors, right? I think it's 12. And I'll start with this bottom one. This is the beautiful carmine, I think. You know what? This might even not even be that. I don't know what set this is. It doesn't even look familiar. Oh, well. It might be not the set. It might be another set that I'm kind of trying to put together. But I just want to show you how beautiful these colors are. They're meant to go on rice paper, or they're formulated to go on rice paper. Now, just because it's formulated for rice paper doesn't mean it's not going to look gorgeous on your regular papers that you have. Now, they can dilute into the finest, most gorgeous light tones, or you can just use them concentrated. They're, again, not mixable so much. I wouldn't mix these together. Oh, I know what this is. Okay, so I didn't bring my set out. I'm going to get you the set that's actually the real set. Now, this set it's dirty, but at least this is the right colors. There we are. And that's the colors I meant to show you. This is very dirty. I love the little trays, not only for convenience, but also for wide brushes, like for wash brushes. Like if you have a big flat brush and you're trying to get it in one of those little trays, you're like, how do I get it? Well, guess what? You can do that with these because it's really beautiful. They have gorgeous, gorgeous colors, and you can't really beat the size of this tray. So here's some little washes I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you the colors, how quickly they dissolve into bright, brilliant colors. And this is the actual color. This is it. I'm just kind of warming up a little bit. We've got plenty of time. I'm just going to warm up, just show you kind of everything. And then I want to just play with some other colors for you. So, or some little techniques, I guess. And please, if you have any. So yes, I won't be able to post them now, but Kathy, that's a good question. We will get these links posted under the video when it's after the recording is done, and maybe by next week all the links will be there. So that's a good question. So everything that's demonstrated will have links and information to it. I just wish I could do both at the same time. But so here is like I just love this paper. Not paper. I love this watercolor. And I'm going to show you a little bit on some rice paper, how it's supposed to be. I've got some rice paper swatches. These are our Gunzai watercolors. These are WC212 is the item number. And I believe it's WC212. I'm going to use just this thing so I don't ruin my table. But because the paint will go through on some papers, this is a paper that I think it will go through. So, but it's meant to go on this rice paper. It's meant to be, it's the difference between this and a Western watercolor is it's fine, much finer ground like than your traditional watercolors. And there's a little different binder. I believe there's gum arabic, but there's also something different. What it does, once it goes into the rice paper and it's in the fibers, and if you need to re-wet it, it's not moving. So that there's a little difference between these and Western watercolors. I think this is the black. Let me see. Yep, that's the black. So they're just different, and they're formulated really specifically, originally formulated to go gorgeously on the rice paper. So here's another little swatch of color. And this rice paper, the Gaussian paper, is really absorbent. So it shows your brush stroke. Like here, I can do a little flower. Let's say I want to do a little corn, not a cornflower, there's a flower I'm thinking of. I could actually just kind of create the flower shape here and then go, of course, I need a different brush for that. So let's say that's the flower top, and then I'm going to use my green, or maybe I'll use green, and I can make the flower bottom. You can make very fun stylized little flowers or shapes, and the brush stroke does all the work, really. The brush, whatever your brush does is what it will retain. So that's really fun. Let's see if I can get this one to do. That's a different color. I don't know what that one, that's a kind of a dark greeny blue. It's really pretty. But with rice paper, you really don't have time to rework it. You know, it's like when you're working with rice paper, you're actually, the paper doesn't give you a lot of time to change if you want to make a change, because it is what it is. It's just going to be what it is. So that is like a fun, just working on rice paper is really joyous, and you can take little bits and pieces of it. Goodness, that was crazy. So I don't know if you're able to, I think we're coming back. That was crazy. So now I'm going to go back to what I was doing. I'm hoping that you're able to, you're probably gone, but you're here maybe. If you're not, I'm going to keep this going. So sorry about that. This has been happening too often. So I just wanted to show you this gold, this really pale gold. Look how gorgeous that is. I'm going to go ahead and just show you. That is like fabulous. I just love that. So these paints are fabulous. I think somebody mentioned that it was fabulous. I'm back. Yes, Wanda, I know. I'm so bummed because I have internet problems, and I've got someone coming out. I think it's my modem. Something's wrong. I've got someone coming out on Tuesday. And I've also ordered a new modem because I don't know why it just keeps going out. We've been troubleshooting, and it's just nothing happens. I keep turning it off and on, resetting it, and it just every once in a while, and it's frustrating. So thank you, Tracy. I was like, thank you. So here we are back, and hopefully it'll stay up for a while. So because I don't want to have you miss I showed you the Japanese watercolors. Okay, so these are great on regular paper, anything. But what I wanted to share with you before, if something were to happen again, I don't want it to go down again, but if it does, at least I want to show you something that's really fun. So I've got some watercolor paper. Yeah, let's see. Okay, for some reason. I turned my phone off. There we go. All right. At least I want to show you something that's really fun. So I've got some water. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Technical. I feel like the person behind the curtain, you know, it's like I've got too many. Hi, cat. I've got too many things going on. You know, what's that person behind the curtain doing? And they don't know what they're doing, is what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to get some of my other watercolors I love. These are the ones that we're going to be bringing in. They are Niji watercolors. These are even a step above the, well, not a step above these, but they're a step above the tubed watercolors I showed you a little while ago. So this set here is more student grade. Now we're getting into the more yummy stuff. So it's going to come in these tins, and you'll notice in this set, there's no bright colors. These were specifically chosen to be transparent, pretty much. I mean, these are great mixable colors. They're mostly transparent or semi-transparent, so they're going to mix together just great. And I don't need to put any gum arabic in this because it's already in there. But I wanted to show you something kind of fun. And I'm going to grab some stencils. Because if you're not somebody who wants to draw or doesn't feel like drawing, you can always grab, if you have some stencils. Let's see, I might use that one. I think that's cool. I'll use this one to start. So what I have is a stencil, and I've got my watercolor paper below, and I'm just going to compose it whatever way I want, like this. Yeah, I think that looks good. And now I'm going to take a brush. Now, if you take a regular brush, you can paint with your regular brush, but you know, I usually like to use a flat brush. This is a water brush, but I'm not going to use it I'm not going to use this part of it, but I do like a flat brush when I'm working on a stencil. I'm just going to dip it in. I'm going to just use it as just a regular brush. Not going to use it as the water brush today, but I've got some greens in here. I just want to get these dissolved first. And I'm going to just put my flat brush. I'm going to just take it and drag it over my stencil. I'm not worried about it being perfect, and you know, don't really care if it's going to bleed under, but I'm not trying to purposefully create puddles. I'm actually just kind of dry brushing it over my stencil. I'm just going to try it with different colors just to try. This is the first time I've used this stencil, so I'm really checking it out for the first time. Here's some just dry brushing. See how it's just kind of going on dry? And it looks very soft, and I can go different directions. This is just using a flat brush, so if you don't, it doesn't have to be the water brush. It can be any flat brush. I'm going to take maybe, let's see, maybe some yellow, some of this yellow. I'm just going to mix it, do a little bit of, kind of just mix it up here. And what I've got, there you go. And I'm basically, if you notice, I'm not moving my hand. I'm keeping my hand right still so that it doesn't shift. The paper isn't shifting. And I'm going to also maybe just use some of this red color. It's like a purple. I'm just going to see how that looks over it. Yeah. Now, that's a dry brush technique over the stencil using a flat wash brush. Kind of a dry, use a brush that looks kind of dry, maybe even a cheap, just a brush you don't really like. Really, you can use so many brushes. You don't need a fancy brush that holds a lot of water. That's what I'm trying to say. So there it is. Okay, so there it is. Soft, very soft, fun look to it. Now, because it looks kind of, you know, I like it, it's pretty, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to spray, I'm going to put a little water on it just to reconstitute this. And then I'm going to just lay it over. Doesn't matter which side, I'm just laying it over. And I'm going to just create like little splotches of color. Let's see what I got here. Yes, that's what I was looking for. So I've got this nice little, looks like I sprayed it almost. It looks like I used a toothbrush, but guess what? I didn't get it all over myself. So I've got this really neat thing going, and using a stencil, that's one way. Now let me show you another stencil way. I'm going to let this sit aside for a minute. And you can do this with any of the watercolors I showed you, by the way. They don't have to be the good ones. It can be the cheap ones. I'll even show you with the cheap stuff how it works. I'm going to grab this piece of paper. This is the hot press, supposedly, but it's actually a better than hot press. So I'm going to take this one with the gum arabic that's been soaking, and I'm going to use my flat wash brush. And I'm going to grab this leaf stencil because it's so pretty, and I'm going to grab some of that green blue color. I don't know what that is, but this one may work better through the stencil anyway because it is chalkier. I'm just going to go a little wetter than I did before, just kind of like that. Let's see, I want to grab another color just to kind of put it over there. Now, if I want to get really wet, I would use a round brush. I want it to really, let's just try this. Now I'm going to drag it over, but I'm not going to push it down. I'm going to just drag it over. I'm trying to get some different colors here. Just going to drag it like this. And it's going to be a lot wetter, but that's okay. We don't want it to be perfect. Did I move it? I moved my stencil. Oops, there we go. So I'm going to, this paint is not as concentrated. So I'm going to go back to this stuff. It's much more concentrated. And I'm going to grab some, maybe this beautiful Payne's Gray. I'm just going to put that in and really just kind of playing with this a little bit. And I'm going to maybe just take my leaves. So this is like cheating. I know I'm not drawing, but hey, it's kind of a fun thing, a way to just make some wet watercolor areas using a stencil. And then you can do, I'll show you the details that I'll do in a minute. So just kind of dragging that over to fill in all the areas. And there I've got a much wetter look than what I had before. And again, I don't want to waste this. So I'm going to spray that with a little spritz. And then I'm just going to put it over here. And you notice I didn't put it where the stencil over the actual shape, but just to give some texture. So there's that. I'm going to let that sit because it's really wet. But if I wanted to join these little areas, I can just go ahead, kind of make it look like, it doesn't look like a stencil. It will look more like a painting. I could just kind of add join these little parts here that are off a little bit. But there's that. And I'm coming back to this one because I really like this a lot, but it still looks like a stencil. See all these little places that are joined or not joined? So now I'm going to just go in maybe a little darker. And I'm going to just go inside here and just create like a line that goes up. And maybe here, just kind of up like that. And I just think this is going to be so much fun. And then I'm going to just join these. And really, how easy is this, right? Using your watercolors. And now, if I was using a stencil paints or acrylics, I'd have to be cleaning my stencil out and worrying about it. But you know what? I don't have to worry about it because it's going to I'm going to be able to just clean it out without a problem at all. So I love it. So I'm going to add some little red flowers at the top. Maybe a little pink, maybe some pink, mixture of pink. Maybe just some like little marks here, just to kind of indicate flowers. Just to kind of make it my own, because before the stencil was a stencil, but now it's becoming, I'm making some marks that makes it something that is now uniquely mine, and it doesn't resemble as much the stencil as it did before. And that's kind of what I love stencils, because they're a great jumping off point for creativity, and you can just go crazy on your own after you've already made the marks with the stencils. And here I've got like a lot more, just drop in some color right at the base here. So it looks like we have an excellent connection now after the reboot, whatever. So I'm hoping that Phoebe, when you get this, you'll be able to edit it and get it, make it look nice, because we did have a little interruption there. So hopefully we can get all the information, and that's the most important thing. So there, I love that. I think that's really fun. And then that's with these new colors. There's also a 24 color set, which is even better. It's got lots more colors. It even has some quinacridone gold. And this is like a semi-professional set. So these are coming in August, I heard. These are the tins. So look up for Niji watercolor tins, and you're going to love them. I know you will, because I love them. And I think that's pretty. I think that's a keeper. And then here's just to show you, remember the inexpensive set, the NWC 36. Look how pretty that dried. And that dried gorgeously because it has gum arabic. See how it's shiny? That's dry. It's not, it isn't, yeah, it's not chalky or anything. So now there's another fun thing I wanted to show you before we go, because it's got 4 or 5 minutes and I just want to finish it, make sure I got everything. Surfaces. Now, do you know about, if you don't know about mineral paper, I'm going to show you watercolors are fabulous on mineral paper. So I've got some pieces here and I'm just going to grab my watercolors and play. Plan to do a full class on this because it's just amazing what color, how gorgeous these colors are. I'm going to start with this one because it's right here next to me. I'll use this little wash brush because I can get the color in. I'm going to show you how gorgeous these colors are on mineral paper. Now you could see what's happening. There's like a little bit of a kind of a texture it's happening here. Very nice. Now it's different than UPO. Oh, my name is Karen. Oh, and Phoebe's here. I'm so glad you're here. So yeah, you know what happened, right? Thanks for coming. So Phoebe, I hope you heard what I said about it's going to be, it has to be some editing on this, unfortunately, to get it all together. But I really wanted to show you the mineral paper and the watercolor, what you can do. This is a cheap BFC Hake brush. It's one of my favorite little brushes because look what I'm getting. Look at these little marks I'm getting. I'm going to change the color. Now, one of the tips about these is you don't want to oversaturate it. If you want to get these marks, you want it to be just not too wet. Like I've got it pretty wet here, so I'll show you what I mean. So now it's going to be a thicker, you see what's happening. I'm not able to get the marks, and I won't be able to get them until I kind of exhausted some of the paint. So I'm going to take my rice paper and I'm going to unload it a little bit off the rice paper, and now I can make these beautiful grassy marks. Like you don't need to have a liner brush. Look, I'm making grass. I just love that. So this is something that if you don't have one of these BFC1, it's a great size because I'm able to get these fabulous little lines that I could not do without the this brush. And that's cool by itself. So I'm going to grab since I'm doing mark making, I'm just going to take some darker colors and maybe just kind of join up maybe a little, do like some, can't think too much. I start to think and then it's bad. Maybe here, just some little marks to connect these maybe, or I just leave it alone. Sometimes leaving things alone. If you're not sure, here's my tip. If you're not sure, set it aside and then come back to it later and you can decide. But look how pretty the mineral paper is. And I want to show you, I'll do the same thing with the stencil. This is on the watercolor paper. I love that. It's very loose. Now here's some mineral paper. I'm going to go ahead and use the same stencil that I used. I think I'm going to use this little kind of whatever, seagrass. I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of sort of ocean themed, I think. Reminds me of being in the water. I'm going to take my paints, and I'm going to go ahead and just use the Japanese paints, but I can use any watercolor. I'm going to do a kind of a dry brush thing. I'm kind of not overloading the brush. And then I'm going to mix another color. I'm just going to kind of just dry brush it and I'm going to keep it in the direction of the growth of the plant, of this little, whatever it is. I'm going to put some yellow, mix some yellow. Now, these aren't the most mixable colors if you were to use complementary colors, but using your colors next to each other, like your yellow next to your blue, it's going to be fine. You just don't want to go opposites. So I think that's probably good enough. So let's see what happens with that one. Look how fun that looks. Very brilliant. And the mineral paper will not wrinkle under any circumstances. It's great. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to move this out of the way for a second. I'm going to bring it back. But what I think I'd like to do is load up. Let's see. I've got another idea here. I'm just going to take this and maybe bring it down below, like here, like that. And then I'm just going to load it up with a little bit. I rarely use white, but I'm going to try it just for fun. I don't know why I don't use white, but I'm going to see how a little white and yellow, if I mix it together, what's going to happen. I'm going to get a really pretty, kind of an interesting color. I think it's pretty. I'm just going to dry brush again, dry brush as much as I can. And there I've got that going on. I think that's pretty. So now I'm going to spritz a little. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to make some blotchy marks on my mineral paper because I don't like it. Oh, that really, maybe a little too much. I think I kind of dissolved. Mineral paper is different. So you got to just be mindful when that's happening. So that actually, it's actually not a bad thing. Happy accidents. The reason I kind of like it is now this is the focal point. This is the more subtle point. Now I'm going to go and mix it up with the tin watercolors because we can do that. I don't have to stick to one watercolor. I just love this Payne's gray. No, I think this is the indigo, or I'm not sure. It's one of the, there's no black in this. We didn't choose black for a reason because black is such a harsh color when you're doing watercolors. And you can create your own black anyway by just making it more dense and combining colors. So I'm going to go in this and I'm just going to go like a little, just beautiful, kind of connecting the stalks here, just like this, so that it doesn't look stencily. And then I can even build up from there. I'm just going to build some little things out like this, kind of like little branches. I think that's what it looks like. And I'm loving this now that that's dull. Now that is cool. And then I'm just going to kind of build some weight down here at the bottom of this. Like make it look like it's a tree or something. But this is on mineral paper, no buckling at all. And I'm loving this. And I'm just going to kind of build some rocks or put some color down here. There, like that. And then I'm going to go into my bright colors again, my pinks. I don't know if you can see that. Hoping you can. There we go. And then I'm just going to make some beautiful, oh, that's purple. That's more of a purple. I'm going to make like another little loosey-goosey kind of flowery shape, even though it's not really a flower. I don't know what it is. It's something I just kind of made up, but just kind of because of the stencil is now giving it an identity. So that's what is so cool about stencils. On their own, yay, I guess they're fine, but they're other people's artwork. So what I like to do is take a stencil and make it my own. And that's what they're for. Okay, so there we go. We got that. And then I can just do some little pretend ones like it's out in the distance or something. That. And then I think that one's fun. And what I could do is just maybe put some other colors down. Maybe, I think dark colors, it's black is not my favorite though. Let's see. I'll use some burnt sienna, some brown color, just to sort of give it a ground, like it's coming from somewhere. And let's see if anybody, oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much. So you bought 2 pads of the mineral paper. You've got to, just play with them. Don't hesitate because it is really fun. And what I love about mineral paper is it doesn't wrinkle unless you use oil paints, but we won't go there, or oil pastels. We won't go there, right? You just won't. So I'm just kind of grounding these as well, adding some branches, little backgrounds, just to give it like, so that it looks like, doesn't even resemble that much of that stencil that I had before. And this is actually a stencil designed by Megan Quinlan, an artist, and they're really cool. I just got them, so I had to try it out. There we are. Yeah, so I'm just going to let that be. So I showed you the mineral paper. I showed you, and then just a preview, I got to tell you, and then we'll leave. Then I'll go. So I promise. So this one, I love it. See how it's when it dries, I can add more. I can put salt on it. Let me try that. You know what? Somebody got me into the salt thing. Some new salt flakes. These are salt flakes. These are not just regular salt. It's sea salt flakes. I'm just going to put a few down where look at that big flake. See that? It's like a dome. I'll put that over there. But yeah, put salt on it and then wait for it to dry. And just to show you, I want to tell you about these. If you don't have them yet, Malden sea salt flakes. one of my students told me about it, and it's such a cool, it's so cool because you get a different, instead of the little granules, you'll get like this one here, like that dome thing. Look at that big dome. Yeah, I'll just stick it right on top of that. And then when it dries, I mean, it's just so cool. So you've got, I'm hoping today that gave you some tips that you can use in any of your watercolor as you go forward with Watercolor, World Watercolor Month. There we go. Just some fun little marks. I'll just stay here all day if I don't go pretty much close this out, but I do want to talk to you really quick about our water brushes, because water brushes, we've got a new, where'd it go? Okay. We have 3 different levels of water brushes. Okay, so Niji water brush has been here since as long as I remember, because I remember these when we brought them in 20 years ago, at least, maybe more. This is made in Japan. These are really amazing. I've had some of mine for as long as I've had them, and they're awesome. And you squeeze the barrel, water comes out. It's got a little, if you don't know water brush, the Niji water brush, I suggest you get one because they're really good. Then we came out with a inexpensive version of the water brush made in China. Still good. It's economical, really inexpensive for a whole set. Pretty great. But here's the new thing. New. We have a water brush set that is even better, because you've got the 2 sizes and a bullet tip, which is a felt tip. And we're coming out with more sizes, but these have a different kind of way of pulling. They don't squeeze like the water brush. It's a hard barrel. It actually has a long reservoir for water. And then this little part is where you squeeze the water. So it's different. It feels a little different, but boy, the tips are really good. And I want to tell you about those. We'll get all that information for you in the links so that you have all the information you need should you go forward and you want to make fun watercolor things. And happy World Watercolor Month. So yes, the replay can be done. Yes. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and for being patient while we loaded this thing back up. And I hope to see you on the next one. Happy World Watercolor Month. Take care.